subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button. The smart investor versus the lazy investor. This episode is going to be very informational to you. It's going to be a little funny because you might hear yourself, you might see some qualities that you can learn about yourself. But in this episode, we're going to talk about who is the lazy investor, who is that, who is the smart investor, and we're going to talk about 5 reasons why. I put way on here, but I'm sorry about that. 5 reasons why the lazy investor always get beat, right? So I want y'all to sit back, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and make sure, ladies and gentlemen, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. So today's episode, we're going to talk about 5 reasons why, or 5 reasons, or 5 ways, or whatever the case may be, that the lazy investor beats the smart investor. So the first thing we're going to get into is who is the lazy investor. Now, the lazy investor has some common, ways of how they do it, or whatever the case may be. So usually it's someone who makes a lot of money. Maybe they may be an engineer, maybe they may be a doctor, a lawyer, maybe an entrepreneur, or whatever the case may be. And they want to, or they may be a military person, or whatever the case may be. And it's usually someone who has a large disposable income. The lazy investor is usually someone who has a large disposable income. Maybe they have a good job, a career, or whatever the case may be. And what they do is they go out, they make a lot of money, and they're like, hey, you know what? I think I could be earning some more money. So what are some ways I can earn some more money? So usually what the lazy investor does, he'll go out and he may find a portfolio manager, or he may find a financial advisor, and he may sit with them and say, hey, I have 5, 10, 15, 20 grand, and I have all this extra income. What are some ways I can do this to invest? And they get the advice and they become lazy because they don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. They don't do a whole lot of investment knowledge. They just do the same thing over and over. This is quintessentially your person who has the 401k at work, and they just continuously invest into their 401k. They don't even look at it. They don't pay attention to it. So they're just lazy. Every once in a while, they may log into it to see what's happening, and that's all they do. They're just lazy. They don't do much. They sit on their couch, and when they think about investing into something, they'll call a professional, get their advice on it. And if the investor tells them it's a good idea, they might get into it. And investor tells them it's not a good idea, they may not do it, or whatever the case may be, right? So anyway, that's your lazy investor. So we just went over who was the lazy investor. This is a guy or a girl who has a large sum of disposable income. And with this disposable income, they're looking for ways that they could double their money or get a better rate of return. So they go out and they solicit and they get professional help usually to understand ways they can maximize this extra money they have. And what they do is they invest consistently, and they're just lazy. They're not someone who's going to do too much. They just sit back and they're lazy with their money. Now, here we go with the smart investor. This is the smart guy. The smart guy is the guy, a lot of you guys and girls who are tuning in right now, you're the smart ones. You're the ones who subscribe to financial bloggers. You watch YouTube videos, you listen to podcasts, you subscribe to Yahoo Finance, the CNBCs, the Market Watch, you're on Market Twitch, you're on Stock Twitch, you got all the apps, all of the whatever the case may be. You got a TD Ameritrade, an E-Trade, all this other good stuff. You're a halfway day trader / Bitcoin trader / investor. You're all three kind of bottled up. You're the one who pays attention, who got a better grasp on what's going on in the market, right? So you're pretty smart when it comes down to the world of investing. Now, with this person that is so smart, that has all the apps, all the bells and the whistles, and who knows so much, how in the world does the lazy guy beat the smart guy? I know you're asking that question. This lazy guy who lays on his couch and watches his portfolio every once in a blue moon, how does he beat the smart guy? Here we go. Number 1, Number one, the lazy investor knows his weaknesses and strengths. Let's take me for example, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a handy person. I'm not someone who's going to go put an alternator in a car. I'm not someone who's going to go put an engine in a car. I'm not even a guy who's going to go change out a garbage disposal. And I say that because I got a new garbage disposal, and the guy came out and he put a new garbage disposal in my house, right? I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to lay down there. Yes, could I watch a YouTube video? Could I get instructions? Could I ask a friend? And do I have the screws to do it? I'm not the screws, but the tools to do it is unbuckling like 2 screws, unplugging it. Not a whole lot to it, right? But I'm smart enough to know what I'm dumb at. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not that good. I'm not a handy person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hire a professional for my weakness. When I go hire that professional for my weakness, when the guy came in and put in my garbage disposal, it was some things that he taught me that I didn't know that I wouldn't have done probably if I'd done it myself, right? So usually if I'd have went in there myself, I maybe would have screwed something else. I probably would have screwed something up. I probably would have got the wrong garbage disposal. It would have probably been off. Now a month later it's leaking. Now I got to call out a professional, right? So the lazy investor knows what they're good at and they know what they're weak at, and they hire for what they're weak at. So this guy or girl may own a hair salon, and they make a lot of money from their hair salon, and they say, well, you know what, with this world of investing, I don't know a whole lot about it. So they go out and solicit help from a professional that they trust. By them sitting down with a professional, they learn new things and they are guided in a different direction. And that is how they learn, oh, well, when I'm investing, my biggest competition is inflation and the S&P 500. So they go out, they solicit the help of a professional. They're getting professional help and guidance, and that's how they end up beating the smart investor, right? The smart investor will not go out and say, hey, this may be a person. The smart investor may be a barber, or they may be a chef, or whatever the case may be. They may be a military service member or whatnot. And there's someone who subscribes to everything. They got penny stocks, they got options, they have Forex, they day trade, they have everything, real estate, everything. They have all these things, but guess what? They won't go out and seek professional help and guidance because they think they know it all, right? In return, they end up with an underperforming portfolio for 10 years in a row. And the sad part is they don't even know it's underperforming because they don't even know what the benchmark is. That's reason number one. Reason number two, I hit on this in the first reason. Number one. Number two, they hire their weakness. So for prime example, can I give myself a haircut? Yes. But can I fade myself like a barber can? No. So if I have to go do a photo shoot or something like that or whatnot, I'm probably going to go hire a barber to cut my hair because, yes, can I do it myself? But I know I'm not that good at it, so I'm going to hire somebody to do it. The second thing is Prince Dykes is not a very good writer, right? So since I'm not a very good writer, you best believe I'm going to pay somebody to edit my work because I'm smart enough to know I'm not good at writing. I know I can jot my ideas down, but I need to hire an editor to go over and look over this. With the smart investor, they're too smart for their own good. They say, why would I waste money? They look at, why would I waste money on hiring somebody when I can just learn myself? And they'll go off to YouTube University. They'll go to, quote unquote, the school of hard knocks. So it may take them 5 years before they finally figure something out, something they could have figured out a long time ago had they hired their weakness. All right, number three, the fear of missing out. FOMO. FOMO. Let me take a swig of water. The fear of missing out. On the road of investing, every day, I have people DM me every day. We got the IPO. We got Airbnb coming out. We got Roblox coming out. We have DoorDash just coming out. And every day, hey, people are jumping on DoorDash. They're jumping on Roblox. They're jumping on gold. Took off, had a nice run. A couple weeks ago, Bitcoin took off and ran. And then I saw some people jumping to Bitcoin. Some people jumped into gold. Some people are jumping into the new IPO, initial public offerings. Some people are jumping into this new hot real estate. Some people are jumping into Forex, right? Some people are jumping to Forex. People are jumping all over the world, right? because they had the fear of missing out. Their friend called them and told them they doubled their money. They told them this is the new thing. They had the fear of missing out on missing the train. So instead of them staying on their financial plan, they always jump in on whatever is hot. And what happens is when you're always jumping on the next hot scheme and scam or whatever the case may be, you end up losing your long-term growth, meaning an underperforming portfolio that's not even beating the stock market, right? So the fear of missing out, how does this happen? The lazy investor, how do they avoid the fear of missing out? They're lazy. They don't pay enough attention to even know what's going on. And if they do find something that's going on, they call their professional and say, hey, I heard about this new thing called XYZ. I'm very interested in it. And the professional will be their sounding board to say, you know what? No, that's a good idea. Yes, that's a good idea. Let's add that to your portfolio. And then they hang up the phone and go on by their business. So they have a sounding board when they have professional advice or professional help because they're lazy, right? And they continuously invest over time because they got this large amount of disposable income. They continue to invest over time. The smart investor is they have the fear of missing out. So they're trying to jump onto whatever boat or whatever plane is trying to take off. So they're trying to make up for lost time. For prime example, who are more likely to fall for a scam? Rich people or poor people? It's poor people. Because poor people are always looking for, or less disenfranchised people are always looking for the new hot way to get rich. You know, look at Facebook. Some came across social media earlier this year. I think it was called it was a board game where everybody put in $50 and they get paid. I don't know. They had so many names for it. A Susu, a So-So, box game, make this much money, or whatever the case may be. So who was the ones that was jumping in on that the fastest? It was people who really didn't have it, because they had the fear of missing out. When you're in the desert, when it's easier to feed poison to a hungry person versus a person that's already full. The lazy investor already has a good job, a good career, a good business, and the money is already coming in. And they're a little bit more strategic, before they put money somewhere. For someone who's starving, who don't have as much money, they're looking for the next hot thing. So they're more likely to fall for any type of scheme that'll come across them. All right, the fear of missing out, number 3. Number 4, everybody can see, but very few have vision. Something my dad taught me, vision versus sight. We all have eyes. We all can see to a certain degree, but very few of us have vision. Prince, what do you mean? Sight is being able to see what's in front of you. You can see a good investment. You can see XYZ. Vision is being able to have a plan and to continuously do it for a long time over time. So the lazy investor is a person who sits back, they put their money to the side, and they usually have more vision than the smarter investor. The smarter investor, they know so much that they know the stock ABC is going to go up next week, and they want to jump into it, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to be wrong. Something that James Fortland, a great friend of mine, great friend of the show, told me on Wall Street 4 years ago. He says, Prince, the less you know about investing, the better. And I said, what? What do you mean? He said, the less you know, the better. The guys who know everything, the guys who blah, 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 they can't overlook. People can see sight versus vision. Everybody can see that we're in a pandemic right now, right? We have a virus going around. The person with vision know that this will pass. They know that this will pass. A stimulus package, a second round of stimulus packages get passed. We'll get past this. We'll figure it out. A vaccination will come about. 2, 3, 4 years from now, we'll be laughing about this in the history books. That's someone who has vision to look past this. And they see opportunities when there's blood in the streets. Versus someone who has sight, they panic because they can see what's in front of them, versus someone who has vision. Someone who has sight don't even know what they're going to be doing for Christmas, and that's 3 weeks away. Versus someone who has vision, setting up their portfolio, and they know how much money they can make within 5 years. That's the difference between sight and vision. The lazy investor usually has more vision than the smart investor. Number 3, they travel light and go far. They travel light and they go far. This ties back into reason number 1, knowing their strengths and weaknesses. They travel light. This is what I mean by they travel light. They don't try to invest into everything. Some people have sent me their portfolio, and there's 300 positions in their portfolio. They have 300 different stocks. Nowhere in the world any one person knows 300 different investments at one time, right? Now, yes, do you see big hedge funds? Do they have a lot of investment? Yes, but they have a whole investment team. It's a whole company. One person got 300 stocks. They have winning stocks, but a losing portfolio. Traveling light mean the lazy investor, they don't know too much, so they have a small portfolio just of things they know very well. They have 5 to 10 positions, maybe 12, no more than 15 positions. And that's all they keep, right? They stay and they invest into what they know, and they travel very light, very small portfolio, and they go very far. Versus the guy who knows so much because they're subscribed to the Wall Street Journal, they got Motley Fool, they got CNBC, they saw something on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case may be, an article came across their feed, and they go buy it. So they know so much, and by the time they get through buying all this stuff, they got 80, they pretty much got the S&P 500 sitting in their portfolio when they could have got the whole entire S&P 500 with one index fund. So ladies and gentlemen, what I mean by they travel light and go far, they stick to what they know, and they keep this stuff small. They keep their circle tight and small, and they go far. That's reason number 4. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the 5 reasons how the lazy investor beats the smart investor. So in this episode, we talked about who was the lazy investor. Then we talked about the smart investor. Then we talked about the 5 reasons. Number 1, knowing your weaknesses and strength. Number 2, hiring your weaknesses. Number 3, having the fear of missing out. Number 4, having vision versus sight. Number 5, traveling light to go far. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see what y'all said in the comments here. I think somebody said hi. Somebody said, Entanglement said, "Ella, I like the title. Appreciate it." Max B said, "I like some of the tips is sharpening my skills." Exactly, right? That's what I'm talking about, Max B, out there in Washington. So then again, just remember, traveling light to go far, keeping it simple, keeping it lazy. Some people are too smart for their own good. Every day, every second today, back in the day, in my dad's era, who's 74 years old, who turns 75 next month, in his era, it was a lack of information. I'm 36 years old, and my generation, we have too much information. So in his generation, he didn't have enough information to even get into the world of investing. Today, we have too much information to be able to even make a profit from investing. All right. D. Frey says, "Thanks for sharing. Anytime." So hopefully those 5, hopefully you can learn something from the lazy investor and the smart investor, and to look at yourself a whole lot closer and ask yourself which one of you. I did have a typo in my title there. I did get that straight. I said way instead of why, but I got that together. But hopefully you learn something about yourself to take on to be a better investor. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, however else you can get this around the globe. But until the next video podcast, a cartoon, or whatever else crazy you see me do around the globe, peace, be safe. I'm out. Thank you.